We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Friday Night Live. Today, we've got the full crew. We've got Sean, I've got Mark, Kesh, and we are here to present to you. Today is a very, very awesome topic. It is sort of out of the matrix, if we may. A lot of the media has been talking about this mega crash, interest rate, people are doing it hard, so on and so forth. So I really want to talk about what's really happening in the market. Sean and you and I were talking about this off camera, how the smart people are coming back in, and I've got evidence for that. Believe it or not. So let me start off with this, right? I'm going to throw off some facts and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion. And I'd love to pick your brains. So CBA says that it's lending rose. So the amount of loans it's lent out, new loans. So this does not include refinances. This does not include money for renovation lending.
These are typically new purchase
New purchases. New purchases.
loans.
Completely. So again, clarifying, not renovations, not refinances for a better interest rate. They are rising. And guess who's leading the charge?
I've got one guess.
Go for it.
Investiores.
That's right. The investors. The investors are coming out of the woodwork. The funny thing is, when the interest rate started to drop, we had a lot of owner-occupiers jumping on. A lot of owner-occupiers, a lot of people trying to get out of the rental market using the builder's boost grants and all of that sort of stuff. But as interest rates have started to go up and rents have started to rally, a lot of the investors are coming back, and now CBA is reporting this, which the news conveniently does not like to cover. Now, I've got a really cool perspective report. So this is from the 22nd of June, 2023. And this has got some really, really cool information. So first and foremost, funnily enough, the rise in ABNs. So as much as they try and tell you they're working on getting the unemployment rate down, we're also seeing a rise in the number of people registering new ABNs to start businesses.
Very interesting.
And again, a lot of the whys have always said that most millionaires were always made in tough times, right? Money just changes where it goes, but money is always there in the economy. Now, in terms of owner-occupier loans, they have dropped from the average nationally. But again, investor loans are rising everywhere. New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland in the top three, followed by Western Australia, South Australia, and then negligible in Tasmania. Okay, just wanted to give you a few facts there. Dwelling prices up again. House prices record a third consecutive monthly gain in the month of May, with 8 capital cities index gaining 1.4%. So there's not one single capital city in this country that is recording. This is again May, another interest rate rise, and the markets still rally. So again, and funnily enough, Sydney is the most expensive residential real estate market in Australia, and Sydney is leading the charge. So when people go, interest rates are going up, what can people afford? Why is the most expensive city in the country riding this wave? What is the media not covering? What are they not telling people, right? And we'll discuss that. Now, dwelling prices forecast has been adjusted. Sydney, and this again, not my words, this is CBA's research, latest from June 2023. Sydney is predicted for 2023 to be up 5% average across all dwellings. Housing in certain pockets is expected 9% this year. Next year is predicted another 4% across also apartments, houses, townhouses. That's a macro average. Obviously, there'll be a few more pockets here and there that are growing at 6 and 7%. Melbourne, similar thing, 2% average, and 6% next year. Growth. So between now and next year, about 8% in Melbourne. So Sean, you're very good at doing this. So if I buy, say, a $1 million property, let's go $500,000 property, and it goes up an average, say 9%. What is that? 40 grand?
I'd hope so.
Yep. So to earn for me to earn and save $40,000, I essentially need to go and earn 75,000-ish, pay taxes, and keep the 40 aside.
Assuming you have like $0 of living expenses, yeah.
Yeah. Assuming you like literally don't pay bills to exist,
True.
Right? Or find an extra 80 grand.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, they tax you extra on your second job. Go figure. Brisbane is going to be one of the strongest performers. And funnily enough, Perth is coming out hard out of the woodworks.
Yep.
Okay. Now I've got a quick. So now rank this. Let's play a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So between Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, who do you think has the lowest vacancy at the moment?
Lowest vacancy.
Between these three cities,
Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. I'd say
they're all pretty shit. Like the vacancy is horrible, but
I'd probably say Brisbane.
yes, you're right. Brisbane is the lowest compared to the three capital cities, followed by Sydney. Melbourne has dropped. Vacancy rate has gone from 6% in Jan 2022, and it's dropped, and it's at 2% now.
Ooh, we predicted
Biggest
this.
drop. We did. We actually did, and that's
predicted
why I had to do a shameless plug. We did predict this.
Plug. do.
I love being
Where's it,
right,
boys?
Okay, now which do you think? Okay, so out of Sydney, I'll give you options: Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, Hobart, Adelaide. Which is the worst this month? This month, what is the worst vacancy rate?
I know the answer, so I'll give it up to the Wolf of Marsden.
Right, they're all the worst.
Worst in the best way for an investor, worst in terms of the actual number.
Like it's great for investors, bad
Right.
vacancy rates.
It's a low vacancy rate. What's the lowest?
With City. Again, I'm talking capital cities.
Did we say Hobart?
No. Hobart is not on it.
I thought you said Hobart. Didn't you say Hobart?
No. I mean, it's not it.
Okay, it's just not Hobart.
All right,
Yeah.
so it's not Hobart.
It's one of the others. It's the next one you're going to guess.
Adelaide.
Yes.
Bang on. Boom.
Bang
Told you.
on.
Called it.
Adelaide. Guys, these are sitting like sub 1%. Okay,
Oof.
sub 1%, which is
And you know what's
horrible.
really interesting about this data is that this is citywide. When
Yeah.
you really focus on getting good microeconomic stats in the suburb that you want to invest in, you can crank that voltage from 1.2 right down to 0.85%
Yeah.
if you really wanted to.
It's like that. For our clients, I've just, for the sake of actually physically counting properties, I've jumped on realestate.com in some of these suburbs, and they're literally 4, maybe 3 properties available for rent.
Nice.
And you come back to them next week, gone. Okay. Now, let's do another capital city advertised rents, regional rents. We won't go into that. It's too much. Okay. This is a very interesting one because Brisbane has been winning this for the very, very long time. Population growth.
Yep.
Okay. So Brisbane has been winning this. Okay. So now out of the states, I'm talking states now. Okay. Queensland was topping the list, has been taken off its pedestal, and there's a new player in town. And
New
it's a
king in town.
New king in town who is taking over the percentage population increase.
It's imagine if we had the West Coast LA of Australia, baby. The answer.
Is it California?
It is Perth. Perth is
AKA Cali weed.
So annual growth rate for Australia was 1.9% in Q4 2022. Of the state's population growth over the year, the highest was in WA at 2.3% or increase. Queensland followed at 2.2, followed by Victoria. Unfortunately, New South Wales didn't make it to the list because we don't play well with others. We're too expensive, too rowdy.
The thing is, New South Wales doesn't need to be playing on that list, right? Let's think of it this way. Every time we do recommendations and have conversations around property, we talk about the weekly family incomes in certain suburb pockets. One thing you'll notice is that one of the fastest growing average weekly wage expectancy is actually the highest percentage differential from 2021 to a projected 2026 in WA, first and foremost.
Yes.
Which is so interesting compared to, okay, you'd pick affluent spots in Sydney where income growth might not keep up as the same percentage as the state growth in the suburb. But why does that suburb in Sydney still outrank others as being way more expensive? Why do you both think?
Good question.
Look, do you know that old saying, money makes money? Money makes money. What people often forget, all of us forget, is we think we and our 5 friends are the only people in the economy, and what 3 of us are going through is what everyone else is feeling. The reality is Sydney is a very old city. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of inheritance. There's a lot of stuff that is happening beyond people just going and getting a job and saving up a deposit.
And more interestingly enough, there's a lot of trusts that are starting in Sydney.
Yeah.
and that have started in the last 10 years, which might only have incomes of 45, 85, 95,000 in order to deflate distribution, let's say.
Yeah.
But then
yeah.
when you add that in stats compared to asset values, we know there is ways around using an $85,000 taxable income for lending that can still get you access to maybe $1 million or more in investment lending. So
you can get very creative.
There's tips and tools of the trade that we're happy to help you out with. Obviously, in a separate consultancy. That's a shameless plug, of course.
No, we should.
But this is going back to the topic of why there is such a massive discrepancy versus numbers we can see openly versus why the outcome of what you'd believe based on those numbers tends to differ.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you because this is the stuff that I wish the news covered, but they like to talk about missing submarines and
rest in peace to all of those that might have passed. We don't know the outcome yet. That's a very
I don't know
crazy
the outcome
situation.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
So often they'll tell you about, I'm pretty sure like 1 billion ships sail and a gazillion refugees drown on boats. But no one cares. The 5 rich dudes go missing in a submarine. Everyone cares about that. But I'm not saying it's not sad. It is. But the media often likes to handpick things, and when it comes to real estate, especially, they really, especially like things like 60 Minutes and stuff, go and interview. I really wish they gave people. Media's supposed to be unbiased. This is what's happened. What we're doing here. Okay. I don't know what you're going to do with the information I'm sharing with you, but I want you to know the other perspective. Now, there's some good news along the way. CBA has also reported that household spending has started to come down. Again, so people are tightening up their belts. Unfortunately, they're tightening up their belts for buying more luxury items and going out and dinners and stuff like that. But
Gucci, Louis V.
That's it. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, do you know luxury brands right now at this very stage, the wealthiest man in the world is not some tech billionaire. It's not Jeff Bezos or anything. It's the owner of LVMH.
What?
Yep. Luxury brand. Because people, again, Sean, like you said, Sydney, again, yes, properties are $1.5 million median price, but you also got to understand there's a lot of people out here who bought houses for $600,000 that are sitting at $3 million that have average jobs, So there's a lot of money also that people have made in this beautiful city that we love, right? So it's really, really cool. Now, coming to exports and imports, this is very, very important to know how is trade surplus? What is the strength of the economy? Can businesses work? Do you know what is the strongest in the country when it comes to state exports, goods exports? Which state is killing it at the moment? Like just miles and miles and miles ahead of everything.
I would actually say Perth. Or WA.
It is WA. And hence, again, just telling everyone the story that hence the population growth because of a lot of new job opportunities coming in. It is booming. It is absolutely booming. So to give you context, and I'm just generalizing here, but WA in the month of April, exports in WA for the year to April 23 were up staggering. We're up by $272.8 billion. And mind you, what Sean just said before, Perth's got the highest income in the country, followed by Canberra, right? Largest population growth, most affordable housing, one could argue, one of the lowest vacancy rates.
And easily guaranteed the greatest turquoise beaches in the land.
It is, right? Now, I want you to understand the difference. So that was Perth, increased by 272.8 billion. The lowest increase was South Australia, that also sitting at 17.5 billion, okay? For South Australia, a billy is a lot. 17 bill is a lot. Pretty sure it's all wine. I'm only guessing here, right? Victoria was increased at 34 billion. New South Wales increased at 103 billion and Queensland at $133.6 billion. So business is good. Business is good. And all states, may I record, are sort of kind of state goods import are in line with what they're exporting. Okay, so we're not in a deficit whatsoever when it comes to this. So again, guys, just giving everyone an understanding that where we sit at the moment, what you're seeing in the marketplace is basically the perfect time for especially an investor. If you've been sitting on the fence and you're going, hey, should I wait another 3 months, 6 months? Highly likely you would have missed the boat.
Yep.
This is the time to strike. The common man is sitting in fear. They don't have access to this data. They're not able to understand it. There's certain pockets that are, yes, you might not be able to buy a $1.4 million property in Sydney or maybe a $900,000 property in Melbourne, but have you checked out Perth? Have you checked out Brisbane? Have you checked out what your opportunities are, right? And Sean, that brings me to you, my friend. What are you seeing? Because we're seeing a lot of our pro clients coming back. What is their excuse for acting? Why are they moving forward? Why aren't they waiting? Why aren't they waiting till December? Because they think the tooth fairy is going to come.
It's a lot of different factors. If you want to identify one factor could be experience. Mm-hmm. Experience in the sense that if you've had an investor that's acting today that has been through a GFC, following that you've experienced something like a Royal Commission, mm-hmm. following that you've experienced something like COVID or a post-COVID hiatus in international immigration. These are people that understand that in certain times, striking as long as your strategy is on point is the right thing to do. So that's, let's say, the experienced bunch that know what they're doing and they're just duplicating the process. There is a new wave of investors out there today that are very similar to what we all might have touched on a couple of weeks ago in the podcast, which was the batch of people that believe that now is the best time to go out there and do active deal hunting because they've been conditioned for the last 12 months about having a bad property market, so much so to the point where they expect to get the greatest deals in the universe today. And we were having a discussion about this week, Mark, about the fact that sometimes people don't realize that when you're going to good property markets, those markets aren't necessarily suffering. We talk about this all the time where people look for real estate deals on the for sale section. What does an experienced investor do when they buy assets? They look at the recently sold section. There's a massive difference. I think, Mark, you can elaborate in terms of just seeing the spread of market behaviors around, let's say, what the media would have told us 12 months ago compared to what's actually happening on an on-the-ground basis in good suburbs today, right?
Yeah, spot on. It's you hit the nail on the head. You know, recently sold should give you a determined picture of what you should be expecting to put down. I agree with that 100%. You know, even dealing with some difficult guys over the last couple of days and things like that. You know, almost talking themselves out of doing a deal. You know, and you're saying, guys, we're wincing over a couple of dollars here. You know, in respect, of course, but and you know, the first thing I say to people is, first and foremost, if you don't see yourself getting into the market because a little, we need to get it a bit cheaper, we need to do this, but don't get in the market at all. Simple.
I have a battle story I'll tell you after this.
But,
yes,
you know,
you're right. I know exactly what
right.
You're
Like,
talking about.
don't get in, because at the end of the day, you don't want to hurt yourself either. You don't want your family to struggle. You want to make and buying real estate is not the be all and end all. Let's be real, right?
Yeah.
Life is important, but
life's not even the be all and end all. Let's be honest. Tomorrow.
Correct. We could be finished.
But do you know what? I disagree there respectfully. I'll tell you why. And I often come across people, I'm sure both of you do, who watched a webinar, very, very excited. And funnily enough, they're maybe early 70s now, right? And they're trying to learn. Kudos to them. They're trying to jump on. I had a guy from Queensland, right? Just started trying to figure out what he can do and can't do, came into a little bit of inheritance. Mate, and if you speak to a 70-year-old versus a 35-year-old, if you really want to know what regret is, dude, like this guy literally goes to me and goes, you know what? Right now, if I had the opportunity to buy in my street, and I don't even know if I live in the best location, but forget that. Even in my street, I remember walking away from a deal because I didn't want to pay 10 grand more. And today that house is worth $700,000 more. Right? So again, context, I think a lot of times where people are struggling, and I feel I have struggled with this myself sometimes, is skepticism. Skepticism is great when you go, you know, like I got to check everything, which is great. But skepticism, there's a bottom line where skepticism just fuels fear and inaction. And you foot the bill. So look, whether you buy, you don't buy, whether the interest rates are 500% or 20%, I've always asked people, I'm like, till people decide that they're going to live on trees or follow Elon to Mars and we have another missing rocket or something like that, right? This thing will go on. Bricks will cost more. Concrete will cost more. People want houses to live in. Even if we shut borders, people are having kids. Those kids will grow up and want their own houses, right? So housing, yes, timing the market in terms of, hey, based on what I can afford and can I hold this property? These are two questions. Hey, I can afford to buy a property for $450,000. The monthly commitments for this is whatever, $2,500. The rent on this is $2,500 plus outgoings. Maybe I'll be $5,000. I'm not even going into tax and depreciation. Nothing. Maybe I need to have a $5,000 buffer. Do you have a $5,000 buffer? Great, buy the property. Even if it goes up 5% per annum, in 15 years, you've doubled your money. Right?
Unfortunately, you can't change the poor man's mindset.
You can't, dude. And you know
We can
what?
pluck him out of the poor city, but we can't take the poor boy out of the new city, though.
No, and I think
right.
sometimes I feel we get very, very stuck, you know, like, why aren't you getting this? What, like, this is so obvious. This is in front of you. It's
I don't feel sorry for them.
No, I do.
Yeah. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very.
It's like
blunt
if I saw
Fuck
you
them,
and
I
Sean.
don't feel sorry for them. Simple.
We should have had one of these.
Yeah, you can record that.
We can do it again. You can say it again.
No. But I'll tell you something. It's like if I saw you or Sean using a pager and struggling and Sean was running to a fax machine to communicate with a client and be like, dude, this is email. Welcome to the email. You can just send someone like, this is how attachments work. And he goes, but I'm scared if someone else copies my attachment while I send it from here. That's skepticism that's not serving you. Yeah, okay, yes, emails do get hacked. Data does get hacked.
Look, we don't even have to categorize this gentleman in the form of investing.
It's everything.
mishaps.
Everything.
It's life. It's
Yeah.
it's the ask holes that ask you
I love that.
for advice every 25 minutes, and then what are they acting on? Nothing. Ever.
Nothing.
They'll ask you, going, "What should I be looking at investing in?" You'll help them.
Oh, my favorite one is, how's the market? I'm like, what do you mean?
Every single event.
How's the market?
What's the market doing?
I don't know. Waking up, taking a shower. What do you brushing his teeth?
The
Going
answer
to
to
work?
that question, by the way, if anyone wants to know for real, is the market's doing what the market's always
Dude, the market's
done.
going. I don't understand. The market is going up. Rents are going up. There is no supply. At the end of the day, people went crazy over toilet paper, which is less important. You can wash your backside with water if you really needed to, or pick a leaf or something. I don't know, right? But housing, no one wants to be homeless.
Have you both ever encountered ask holes that ask you questions where, if you know, regardless of the answer you give them, that their response is going to be counterintuitive? So
Yep.
if let's say the market, we know facts, market's going up, right?
Yep.
Someone asks you a question going, "Hey, how's the market?" And your response is, "Oh, it's terrible. It's absolute dog shit. It's really tough. It's bad times, steer clear." Oh, but I heard that like right now might be a great time to get it because like it's been going up 2 quarters. Why'd you ask me the question?
Yes.
If you already know, if you're already an expert.
I think I'm going to try that. Hey, because I think the forever optimist in me sometimes struggles because, yes,
The best thing to do is actually be a realist. So the realist is there will be some pockets that will correct. There will be some pockets that go up. But what's going to happen in 10 years from now is you're not going to say, "I wish I picked Geelong instead of Perth." You're not going to say, "I wish I picked Brisbane instead of Adelaide."
I actually had someone say that to me. He goes, I really regret it. And I go, what? And he says, mate, I had an opportunity to buy something really nice. And I said, okay, wow. Okay, tell me about it. He goes, I made a mistake. In 2000, I'm paraphrasing it, 2010, 2011, he had an opportunity to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in Bondi, but instead he went and bought something for $180,000 in Adelaide. Okay. Okay. And then I said, what? I'm
Okay,
like,
this is a bad example, bro.
yeah, yeah. So for a second, I stopped. I was like, sorry. So I said you had an opportunity to buy something in Bondi, but instead you went and bought something in Adelaide for $180,000. And he goes, oh yeah, because they were asking for $700,000 for this 2-bedroom unit or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, right? And I thought it was a bit much. I'm like, could you afford it? He goes, no, my borrowing was only this. I'm like, you didn't lose any opportunity. Like,
Oh my goodness.
it wasn't even a.
It wasn't even an option on the
No.
table. That's like the three of us crying about the Point Piper deal that went on market last week.
Yes, yes.
No, we were nowhere near.
We were only 40 million off.
I nearly.
We had the mill. We were 40
Dude,
mil
I
off. It
nearly
was
fell off my
41,
chair.
by the way.
I nearly fell off my chair. And It took me a couple of weeks to get over that. I'm like, it's like me going and saying to Sean, like, really upset, bro. Should have bought Westfield.
Yeah.
Should have bought Westfield. And he goes,
This
yeah,
is like people that are today maybe in their early 30s, right? Or late 20s that go, yeah, you know, man, Castle Hill would have been a great opportunity at 800 grand. When that was 800 grand, you were finishing high school.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, you were in high school. So don't complain to me about what lost calls opportunities are. But this is a fantastic example of, you know, let's be realistic. Let's put our options that we can invest in on the table first
I'm
of all.
like, dude, if
and
you
not compare about, you know, apples to oranges.
and even the Adelaide, mind you, that property is what, like, whatever, like 330 now. It's gone up in value.
So
and
it's tripled almost. Well,
almost, yeah.
And in a time frame where
11 years or something.
which
right?
is amazing.
Correct. So I said, dude, you're not done bad. Like, hey, everyone starts from somewhere and it's positive cash flow. He goes, yeah, but I really regret it. I'm like, how? You couldn't afford it. How? What? Where is this regret coming from?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. I would understand if someone, and I've come across people like that. Hey, dude, don't go and buy rubbish property. Buy this property for 600,000. Nah, I'm going to go buy these $80,000 properties in a mining town. You're being an idiot. But if you could afford to buy something for 200, 250, 300, you still went and took action and you bought something for, great job. Wow. Okay. Is it the best purchase on the world? No, it's better than buying a Range Rover over 10 years. That's how I look at it. Hey, $200,000 Range Rover, $200,000 house in Adelaide. Maybe the house in Adelaide. Maybe the Range Rover hire car. I don't know. I've never done the cash flow on that. But, dude, I think the ask holes will really suffer. And I was speaking to someone about that today as well. Cities like Hong Kong, LA, we were talking about institutional investing, build to rent models, actually. And he said, I can already see it, especially New South Wales, Victoria. Game over. 15 years, your average Joe is not buying real estate. It's institutional investors pulling in billions and billions of dollars to literally build properties, hold them, and it makes a lot of sense to them, right? So for a developer, for those of you who don't know, just a quick fun fact, if we develop property and we didn't sell the property, we just rented it out. So imagine you do a $200 million project, GST is about 10%, 7%, 10%, whatever it works out to be. If that developer holds that development for 10 years and then sells it, like Meriton, for example, sometimes holds and then starts to sell them, or sells half the project, keeps the other half, they don't have to pay GST, for example, right? So they're holding this 10% on a $200 million, that's $20 million right there, because they held it for 5 years. And plus in 5 years, often, no matter what the market's doing, there's sort of a stabilization, right? And you're seeing institutional investors, money from Singapore pouring in, Hong Kong pouring in. Wait till the Middle East gets a taste.
Yep.
Game over, dude. Absolute game over. So then the assholes will be asking for rent reductions for the rest of their life, essentially. I guess that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen.
I've got a couple of surprise fiery ones for you.
Yeah, let's do some rapids.
Rapid round robins.
Let's go.
All right, gentlemen. What is your favorite painting of all time and why? Let's give the listeners an insight into your souls, boys.
God.
No researching. Why are we researching paintings? here? Stop researching.
I'm not researching paint. There was a really nice one with Basquiat. I can't remember what it was called. It's basically a dinosaur with a big crown. Absolutely love it.
I'm going to say Mona Lisa because I don't know any other art. So
Yeah.
I'm very cultured like that.
No. So
The
Basquiat.
Mona Lisa is your favorite painting of all time?
Oh, what else is there? I can't think of a painting on the spot.
There's your insight, boys.
So Basquiat, I can't remember what it was.
Basquiat's what the artist.
The artist, and Basquiat had this painting with a big, like, dinosaur walking through the city with a big crown.
Congrats.
Loved it.
Mine's violin playing goat. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
We'll see you until next time.